Well, thank you, ladies, so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
You are my first guest on Lotus Livin. I'm so excited. So excited. I would not have wanted to have it any other way.
Yes.
So I truly appreciate you availing yourself. And you know, I'm gonna go with the flow because I'm learning from y'all.
Okay.
And we gonna talk about Maze the pod in a second.
Not from us.
But I'm learning from you. You know.
Lord have mercy.
But yeah, truly amazing. My name is Char. And I am gonna be your host today for Lotus Livin.
Yay.
Yes, so how we like to start off the show is a segment we call Talk Your Shit. Right?
I was just going to ask if this was explicit free content.
Listen.
It's
Not messing with me. You know?
Okay.
Yes, no, it's you know, grown up friendly.
Okay.
Overall. But yes, this is Talk Your Shit, and I'm not going to introduce you. This is your opportunity to introduce yourself to the world. Why? Because you know yourself best. You know what you want to share. You know what you don't want to share. But this is the time to talk your shit. Let us know who you are, what you do, what you've accomplished. Who are you? Talk your shit.
You gonna start?
I'll go first.
You look like you was ready first.
All right, so who am I? That's such a good question because really, who are any of us? Really? No, I'm Michaela Brown. I'm from Jersey. I am 25 years old.
More number.
I am black. I am a woman. I am a teacher. I am a child of God. I am just a person trying to navigate life, honestly and truly. And I could be a very compassionate person, a very caring person, but then I could be a little touch of crazy at the same time. Just depends on the day. Yeah. So that's who I am. And I'm sitting beside my bestie, for the restie.
Hey! So let me go. Say that. My name is Janae, Z-H-A-N-E, like the R&B group. Hey, Mr. DJ. That's that biggest hit, y'all. Y'all heard it at every cookout growing up. I am a lot of the same things Michaela is. Black, woman, Christian, teacher, podcaster, new to the podcast game. Season 1 complete. Check us out. And I'm just trying to figure it out. 20-something, trying to date, trying to navigate work, trying to pay my bills, I guess I'm not trying, I'm doing all of these things.
Yes,
so let me not give trying. I'm doing all of these things. And sometimes it's a little shaky, but I'm still making it happen. And I'm a daughter. I'm a niece. Who else am I? I don't know, and I'm just trying to figure out how to work all of those identities and still remain true to who Janae is.
Yes.
But Janae is also all those things. So it's like, how do I be all those things while still being me?
Yes.
So that's that. That's me talking my junk.
Yes. You a lot goddess.
Oh, yay!
Lot goddess. Yes.
How long it's been? March of last year.
Okay.
So I think it's been 18 months. About 18 months. Yes, I love
well,
it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Best
I can't
decision
tell
I
you
ever
exactly
made.
what made me go in.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I'm here.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
you and me both.
Yeah.
What made me go in was getting my hair done at the Dominican 3 times a week.
Oh.
That's when I had to say enough is enough.
Yeah. And I think that was a fair.
Yeah.
I think that was a fair reason.
You think?
In 1 week? I'm
in
sorry.
1 week, it was a week in which I had a lot going on that week, and because
But
I'm
that was
natural,
the week that
you know, I had to keep getting it pressed out, you
Right.
know, or at least I felt like I did. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I said I can't do it. You know, my hair is naturally curly and I'm a sweater.
Yeah.
So the moment any little drip or nothing,
Yeah.
my roots is
went
gone.
right.
It's done.
Went right
right.
back
And I said, well, you know what? I think it might be time.
to lock it up.
Lock it up.
I
For
don't
sure
know
not.
if there was like something that made me get locked, but I know like shortly after getting locked, something crazy happened to me, and I was glad that my hair was locked. If that makes
Look
any
at that
sense,
blessing.
because I wouldn't have been able to manage my hair in addition to everything else that was going on. So I was like, come through,
Yes.
and I love them.
Good. Well, they look good.
Thank you so much.
Y'all look good. Thank you so much for talking your shit. That's good shit talk. Because y'all sound amazing, and we want to get into it.
Yes.
So you started a podcast this year
We did.
called Maze the Potty.
Yeah.
Okay. You just completed season 1.
Season
We
1
did.
just ended.
15
15 episodes. I know.
15, yeah.
Tell us about Maze the Potty. First of all, what is Maze the Potty?
So, you know those friends that always get together and be talking and they're like, we need a podcast. That is our
Maze.
relationship all
And
the
that is
time.
Maze.
Yeah, and then that is Maze. We were talking and we're like, let's like really do it. So I recently found the notes that we had when we first came up with the idea, which was in 2022.
November.
Yeah, November of 2022. And like it just kind of progressed naturally. We knew exactly what we wanted to talk about. We knew what the segments were going to be. We knew what they were going to be called. Like we knew the podcast. We didn't have any problem coming up with the
With
name.
any ideas.
So it just kind of flowed very naturally, and then we were just like, okay, well, we need to find out what materials we need, and it just kind of over time happened, and it's just a podcast of two friends navigating their life and just having a microphone in front of them while they're having these conversations. Really,
Yeah, so Maze stands for Michaela and Janae, and then we had to add an E for it to be Maze. And then we're just talking about how life is like a journey, and like we're going through a maze, and obviously when you get to the end, like you get out, and you know. So that's kind of where that all came from. And then, yeah, like Michaela is saying, like everything just happened, every step. It just... It kind of just fell into place. We had that planning meeting in November. We wrote down all the supplies we would need. We got into what website we needed to get it posted on the platforms. We got into this, we got into that. And then ever since then, it's just been growing and taking off and doing its own thing.
Yes.
And it's cool to watch because now we have something that, like, you have the notes from November.
right?
And then we have, like, something that'll show how much we've changed.
Yeah.
So if you listen to episode 1, we're different than how we are in episode 15 because it was like over the course of like 4 months or whatever. So things just change and you get to have it. It's like a memory book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's real cool.
A memory book live.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's like, you know, when you are recording things or, you know, taking pictures, those are tangible things.
Right.
That you can actually go back and listen and look. And,
Right.
You know, I think it's amazing to see the growth just even in that short amount of time, you know, in doing this. Of course, I am a newbie to podcasting, you know, like I said earlier. When it comes to topics and, you know, different things that you want to talk about, how do you select?
So we have 4 main subjects, like topics that we hit every week. So the first one is like a praise report. So that's good things happening in our lives and in the lives of people around us. So that's how we try to like engage our audience. Like send us in a praise report so that way we can report it on the podcast.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Another thing we have is dating. And we'll get into these ninjas, y'all.
And we're going to get into
And then
we're going to get into it.
another thing we have is teaching, and then the last thing we have is like something that we're navigating that particular week,
Right.
or something that we're facing during that time. And so like we just, I guess as we go through life, or at least that's what I do, like I have a running list, like oh, something happened that can definitely fall into this category.
Right.
So then that way when I sit down to plan for like what I'm going to talk about that week, I already have my list of everything that already has transpired. It just fits right into the category.
Yes.
Even with dating, like it was a running joke that I had on my Instagram of like tries to match. Michaela tries to match, and like I would put on my close friends like the crazy responses I would get on Hinge, And then over time, I had started a folder in my phone of all the foolishness that I would get online on online dating. And then that turns into our podcast segment, which was Tries to Match. And then that's how we came up with the title, which, became Match, which became the title of our dating segment. So everything in it just kind of like, we use, just whatever was happening in our life, we kind of put into the show.
Yes. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you hit on dating.
These ninjas. I just can't.
Let's talk about dating since we've mentioned this. I am a listener of your podcast and chuckle often when we get to Match, also known as formerly known as. And I'm like, whoo, yes, growth. I like it. Transition, rebranding. I love it. So dating as young people. So you are in the Gen Z category, correct?
Yes. We are
97. Yeah.
Don't give me the line.
We're the first. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we like
the first. Yes.
Because it's like a weird cusp.
But it's 97, and you was born in 97.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's a weird cusp because it be Gen Z that's really different. Like we're not really Gen Z. We don't really align with.
So you're on that border. That border of it's kind of like my birthday is February 20th. I'm a Pisces, but that's a day before I was in Aquarius.
Exactly. My birthday is August 22nd, and they say you a Leo. But if I had been born 3 hours later, I would be a Virgo. Is that what it is?
I think so,
yes. So it's like
I get it.
Yeah. That's how I feel about the Gen Z situation.
Dating as young Black women. What do you find challenging about it? What is the most challenging thing about dating today?
Where do we start?
Oh my goodness.
She says the most challenging.
The most challenging. If you had to select, even a few, what would you find is, that barrier to really being able to solidify a relationship?
Trying to find someone with the basic things on my list, right? Like, I'm not asking for you to make 6 figures at 20-something, 30-something years old. I don't make it. But just the core qualities of what you're looking for in someone, it's really challenging now to find someone with those characteristics or those attributes. Because I feel like where we're at, a lot of those men was either snatched up while we was in college, or right now everyone is just in their own season of life and they're struggling to find who they are. So with that comes a lot of people constantly changing, not being consistent, and they're growing and evolving. At the same time, we're growing and evolving, and the personalities are just not matching up.
Okay.
I think you said the biggest challenge right now is just the pot feels real small. I don't know if it's just like because we are already like professionals, we're educated, we already have checked a lot of boxes. It just feels like there's very few men, and then specifically Black men, that are falling into that same category as the both of us. And then the ones that did fall into that category, like Michaela said, they already got wives. They ready. So it just feels like not really finding anybody. And then like we're in a digital age, so if you want to find somebody, they tell you to go online. Then you go online, and then it feels like all the people online are just trying to play games, and that's not what I want. So then it's just,
and then add faith to that, like then when you do feel like, okay, this could work, then y'all faith don't align. So while you're walking in clarity of what you believe in, a lot of people are not. So with that comes another barrier of finding somebody.
It's
Wow.
it's hard.
Okay.
It is.
So when you say ideal mate or significant other, what are some of the characteristics you are looking for?
Black.
God-fearing.
Yes. So I need you to be purposeful.
Okay.
So like, I'm not saying you had to go to college, you had to do this, you had to do that. No, I just need you to know or have something that you're pressing toward outside of me. Like, trying to be something outside of me. And then ideally, I'm trying to do something outside of you, because I am. And then when we come together, we're able to help each other and each other's like outside goals, but still, building something together at the same time. But I definitely feel like that's a big one, purposeful. I haven't been seeing that. That hasn't been coming across my way, hasn't been coming my way. But that's definitely on my list. I want you to have good emotional, what was we talking about with somebody on that? Yes, emotional intellect. And I had read something.
So like emotional intelligence.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
That's a big one. I had read something and I thought it was so powerful. It was like, you're not responsible for your trauma, but you're responsible for your healing. And I need you to be already trying to heal, because I'm trying to do that. And then you having your own stuff, and then you don't know how to talk through whatever is going on. Communication is not there. And so I feel like that's a big one as well. Yeah, I think those are just baseline. Like,
that's it.
Yeah, I don't think that's too much. What you think? You think we asking for too much?
I mean, no. I don't think. I mean, I think it's important that you set your standard.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I see nowadays, in our young people, men and our young men and young women, is that we don't set a standard.
Right.
Right?
Just willing to take whatever.
Yeah, because there is this preconceived notion that, setting a standard is something, that you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have these comparisons about, everybody comes from, a different background and this, that, and the third. However, we can't negate preference. We can't negate what your standard is.
Yes.
What your, I don't even want to call them expectations, because we're never supposed to expect anything from anybody. However, if anything, we expect what we need to from ourselves.
Right.
And it is, I think, more than reasonable to have what your standard of a significant other is. And if that's what you look for, then that's what you look for.
Yeah.
And you should not have to settle for anything less than what meets your standard.
Right.
I think it's interesting, this segue, because I see this same situation in our education system, right? So you two are Black educators, and we're going to get back to the dating thing in a little bit, but I want to kind of bring this up. Since we're talking about standards, you two are two Black educators in the New Jersey educational system. Of course, you over here in Philly, and the Philadelphia education system is not an elite education system either. And one of the things that I did notice about education is the standard. The standard is low, in my opinion. When I went to school, there seemed to be some form of, goal to achieve, to be a high achiever, or, at least to work, hard.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like that is the expectation anymore. Tell me a little bit about your experience as a Black educator. And your thoughts on standards of education and teaching our children.
Can I start?
Go ahead.
So I gotta start with how we came in. So we started teaching in the same year, and we were student teachers. So that's like your preparation program before you go in 2019. So we were supposed to be done in May of 2020, but COVID hit March of 2020. So our student teaching experience basically got cut in half, and then when we got hired, which we were hired before we graduated, so about April of 2020, we knew that we would be hired for virtual instruction essentially. Right. So that first year we didn't have a traditional start. We started when none of the teachers knew what they were doing. None of the students knew what was going on. Like, we started so crazy, and so now we're going back to how things used to be, except the kids aren't how they used to be.
Right.
So like you talk about how we used to strive. We used to want to do well in school. Yes. We had an internal motivation.
Yes.
It's not there anymore. Yes. And then even when we didn't have the internal motivation, externally, our parents were like, get up off your booty and be about something. And so now I feel like neither one of those things are existing. The internal motivation is only there for a handful of kids, and then externally, like, you talk about Philadelphia public schools. I teach in a large urban district in New Jersey, and so it's the same population. Like, it's the same kids. I'm certain I could do the same job that I'm doing in my district now in Philadelphia, because it's the same type of thing. So it's just, that's a big thing. Like you're saying, the desire is no longer there, and then the standard of education that they receive isn't there either, because we're in a shortage. They taking anybody. These districts are getting looser with who they accept. You don't have to have any background knowledge, nothing. Like, to come from a teacher preparation program is rare. Like, especially like in the South, like anybody. Wow. And so when you think about all of those things, it's concerning. It is. And then when you do come in, like how I come in hot, and I know my sister comes in like that too, it's like, it's a lot. The kids are overwhelmed, and everybody wants you to kind of ease up, and it's like, no, I have a high standard for you. You need to be where I need you to be, because I know that if you don't know how to read by the end of this grade, when you get to my sister and you're reading these deep passages and you're doing this and doing that, you're not going to be successful there either. So, and I'm not going to let up.
And can I just add, even before getting to the 4th grade, the reality is when they don't know how to read in the 3rd grade, there's a prison cell being built based upon how many kids don't know how to read. So when we're thinking about what the standard is, the standards are low, but then because the standards are low, there's so many systemic things that are happening after them that they don't even realize that are happening. I didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I think for me, when I started, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. And then when like Ajane said, when we started, it was just in the middle of chaos, to be honest. So when I got my job, I was a special ed teacher first. So I taught special education for 2 years. And I was just severely under-supported. And I wanted to stay at the school. It was a school with predominantly black staff. It was more black staff than anything else. And we had mostly black and brown kids, so I wanted to stay.
Another rare setup.
Yeah, it was rare. It's so hard to find that.
And black staff, black students,
black administrators, black teachers, everybody is just it's rare.
Not normal.
Yeah. So I wanted to stay, and I'm like begging for help, like, listen, I'm a special ed teacher. The maximum I was supposed to have is 16. At 17, I'm supposed to have 7 paras. I had 2. I had, it was just kids that were not in the right placement. So what ends up happening is you burn out. Even early in your career, you're like, I'm begging for help. So then I had to leave the school that I really wanted to stay at. If it wasn't for that situation, I would still be at that school. So then I tried to leave, and then they block you leaving because I wanted to transfer. And then you try to transfer within the same district, and they block that. So then I was like, I can't stay here, so I have to leave the district altogether.
Wow.
So now this district that's in need of quality teachers has now lost a quality teacher, and that's not to like brag on myself.
Oh no, brag
but
on
I
yourself.
know.
Talk your shit.
Yeah,
But
brag on yourself.
but I know what I bring. So to lose a quality teacher because of whatever, now I'm out here in someone else's district still doing amazing work, but you could have had me until whenever I decided to truly leave the profession.
Yeah.
So I think right now there's a lot of pride when it comes to leadership. There is when it comes to experience, when it comes to leadership right now, anything goes. You don't have to be a teacher to be an educational leader in the state of New Jersey.
Wow.
You do not have to have teaching experience to be a superintendent in the state of New Jersey. So those are the people that are making decisions, and they have not walked in our shoes. So with that comes that lower standard. That comes with the lower standards of the teachers. That comes with the lower standard of the students. That come with the lower standards of the principals. No one has a high standard for anything anymore, and then we're just kind of left to be kind of our own island in our room of these high standards. But if you go to Miss So-and-so class, that's not required.
It's loosey-goosey.
Yeah, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
And
So
we
there's
teach the
no
same
universal
grade.
expectation.
No,
Right?
and it's-
You're bringing in the influence of how your upbringing, right? Your training into the classroom. And because that universal language is not being taught across the board, from classroom to classroom, it's kind of like a Russian roulette.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, when I go into Miss Thompson's class, I know that, you know, I have to come in, I have to be prepared, I have to have my pencils, I have to have my books. Whereas when I go to, you know, Miss Johnson's class, I don't have to do nothing.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, you know, because I know that, you know, you teach the younger grades, that is the stepping stone.
Foundation.
The foundation to the higher grades,
Yeah.
right? Consistency is important with children, especially during those impressionable years.
Yeah.
Then they come to me in college.
Oh boy.
So, I teach undergrad.
Bless you.
Yes. Yes,
And
yes,
they
yes.
just lose.
And it's sometimes, you know, and this is,
Man.
you know, definitely coming out of a place of concern, you know, not condescension or anything like that, but sometimes I wonder, what happened
Yeah.
from the time, all these years that you were in school to the moment you get to my classroom in college? What happened? And that's, it became so concerning for me that I had to go to the chairman of the psychology department to ask him, like, is there something I'm missing? Am I, you know, is my standard too high? Like, am I supposed to, you know, teach this way, you know? And I started to question myself, like when it came to, you know, writing papers and, you know, the communication of the students, even down to, you know, when I talk about papers, some of the papers that I was getting, you know, is written in like text language, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, instead of saying, you know, A-R-E, it's like R, the letter.
Yeah.
You know, in a sentence, and
And
you know,
so
a lot of
serious.
shorthand, and I became. I mean, I was almost like shocked. Like, well, what happened in 12th grade? Is this how teachers allowed you to write in 12th grade? You know, and a lot of the students that I have at the college that I teach are first generation students. You know, I can respect that. You know, and I can appreciate that process. However, there's still a disconnect, right? Because what home didn't teach, you would expect to learn in school.
Yeah.
That is the second place you're spending usually most of your time.
Yeah.
Correct.
What do you think the disconnect is?
I just think the shift of the expectation from, I'll speak for New Jersey, they expect so much to happen so young, and then they miss it and they never get it. and then they go to the 12th grade, they go to college without ever having those basic foundational skills.
Yeah.
So the things like the shorthand, right? If that's caught on earlier because you have an adequate writing block, or you understand that this child is in the 2nd grade and they need to understand X, Y, Z first before they can go write that paragraph, then we're able to catch a lot more things before they go to the middle school and they're writing the essays, and the high school and they're writing the research papers, and then they're in college, and then now they're turning in coursework with shorthand in it.
Yes.
We're rushing stuff too fast.
And then I don't think we have adequate follow through. So 3rd grade teacher catches it, does the work, corrects it. 4th grade teacher does the same work. 5th grade teacher, no. 6th grade, yeah. She was out, cause da 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 da. 7th grade, okay, yep, back on the track. But it's only so much. It has to be continuous. It can't just be it was corrected in 3rd grade and then it hands off. It has to keep going. So it's like you said, it's about that universal language.
Yes.
We are all here to make sure student X gets through the 12th grade with all the skills that they need for that particular grade, and no matter what hand you have on them, what grade you were with them, you were still making sure that they were doing what they had to do to get where they had to go.
Well, see, it's even surpasses universal language. Right? It's accountability.
It is.
It's about being responsible. Your role in 3rd grade, your role in 1st grade, your role in pre-K, regardless of where you are as the educator, is in preparation for the next step. It's just as important. Education, I thought, was progressive. From one grade to another, things are supposed to get challenging and more challenging and more challenging in a good, challenging kind of way. But you can pursue those challenges when you've learned what you need to learn the grade before.
Right.
Right? You know, APA was introduced to me in high school. In order for me to be prepared for freshman year of college. And they say, oh, you know, write all your papers in APA. It's like, oh, I know what APA is. MLA was initially what I learned, you know, in middle school when we first started writing papers. Well, MLA was the initial structure. You don't just write to write. Some papers had to have structure. And so, of course, when now being introduced to APA later, it's like, oh, this is a different type of structure. It's not new. A new challenge because it's a different style of writing. But it just, you know, the skills learned in the year before.
And you can walk that all the way back to 1st grade when you included textual evidence. The story says blank. I got my answer from this page. You can walk it all the way back. So it's just, I don't know.
So it's just one of those things where
I don't know.
them foundational skills, man, they miss
everything.
And because there's a lot of right now, one of the main things that we're getting is the gaps are there, but just keep pushing through. Just keep pushing through. They don't know their multiplication facts. Go ahead and teach them fractions anyway. They don't know how to
place value.
They don't know place value. Still teach them how to add numbers up to 1,000,000. Add and subtract numbers up to 1,000,000. Teach it to them anyway. And you like, but they don't know the difference between the ones, tens, and hundreds place. How are we gonna go to the millions place? And it's just that idea of just keep going, and pray to God that at some point they catch on. And we're saying no, they're not gonna catch on. The work is only getting more and more difficult. And it's just that lack of understanding because the people in charge, they don't get it. They don't get it.
What role do the parents play?
The parent
involvement. My first years parent involvement is slim to none.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I work in an urban area and they have to work. I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what it could be. But that has been a personal goal for me this year. Parent communication, contacting them when things are good, contacting them when things go wrong, keeping a trail of evidence that said I tried X, Y, and Z. But parent involvement has been so low.
It's very low.
It's very concerning. It's so low.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know if I need to like reward them like how I reward the kids.
Like
you showed up today,
right?
Yeah,
you came to the conference.
Let me cash up you $2.
Yeah,
like I don't know what it is.
First person to come to back to school night get $10.
Yes, a gift card raffle. I have to do something because it's low. It's so low.
It's low.
Yeah.
I've seen both extremes. When I was at my old school,
none
couldn't get parents to show up to the IEP meeting. The IEP meeting would fall into effect because the 15 days had passed. No one had heard from the parent. We just put it in place ourselves. Like, you didn't show up. We gave you one meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings. Okay, no, you don't show up. We send it to you.
No
we send
questions,
it home.
no nothing.
So I had that, and then on the flip side of it, now we have the parents that's like, day one, when's the homework gonna start? Wait, we just got here. So I think right now it's really just parents finding a balance, like respecting the teacher enough to do their craft, helping out when they can. Say, listen, you are the person that's educating my child. What do you need me to do at home?
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the parents that give me that, because I'm like, listen, multiplication facts, reading, blah, 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 blah. So really just making sure that you're doing the basics with your child at home. The reading. The teaching them how to spell their last name. We was just talking about that on the way here. The kids in the 3rd, 4th grade don't know how to spell their last name. Make sure they know their last name. Who their family is,
don't
where
know
they
how
come
to make
from.
capital letters or lowercase letters.
Wow.
Don't know where they from.
The difference between the town, the state, the country. 4th grade, we still don't know that. That can be a conversation you're having from the 1st grade with your child.
It's just talking to your kid.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Conversation. We're not asking for too much. Like I reached out to all of my parents through an app, and one parent, and I already know her. I already know you, sis. She like, oh, Miss Thompson, oh, she's just so excited to have you. If you need anything, reach out to me. And I'm like, that is so sweet, but you're not even somebody that I would even really need to reach out to. But you're here for me, and I love that. But it's like the ones that you want to talk to, that you reached out one-on-one. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about so-and-so. Girl, no response. Message say delivered, no response.
App says read at 11:34. You like?
That's why I had to start using my iPhone number, because I needed to see if my message was getting delivered. I was starting to get concerned.
Right.
I tried Google Voice. I needed to know that my messages went through. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking for ways to really get them on board.
And you know what? I think, honestly, this is a challenge across the board.
It is.
When it comes to parent involvement, not just in education, but in even providing for mental health needs of children. And I was talking to a colleague, and one of the things, I discussed with her is, my practice, the Lotus Well, focuses on the 8 dimensions of wellness. Right? And so the 8 dimensions, and I'm not going to spill them all at this second, but, it just states that you are there are 8 parts of yourself. You're not one part of yourself, right? There are many pieces, and when these pieces are in balance, it influences the imbalance of other pieces. So, for example, when thinking of your, financial dimension, your occupational dimension, and your mental emotional dimension, right? If you are in a job, right? I know on Maze the Potty, you talk a lot about how educators are not compensated enough for the work that's being done, right? So if you are at a job that is not paying you sufficiently for the work that you're doing, right? That influences your finances, your income, you know, what you can, you know, bring in to not only provide for yourself, your home, maybe your children, and, you know, all other things that you need to do. That stress then influences your mental, emotional, right? So now we have an imbalance across 3 dimensions already. Without even introducing all of the other ones, and how maybe this could be crushing your spiritual dimension. You know, how it can also affect, you know, your environment, right? You had to move in order to get another job in another district because of things happening in your external environment. So it all needs to be balanced. And so when we were talking about, you know, providing mental health treatment to children, you know, one of the concerns she had was, you know, oftentimes she's on video with these parents and she's, you know, attempting to check in with them in regards to, you know, well, how are things going? And a lot of times these parents are going through their own stuff.
Exactly.
Especially when we're talking about special needs children. You know, children, you know, who do not have special needs is one thing. They still have needs. But then to have a child who's also a special needs child, whether they're on the spectrum, another intellectual disability, a mental illness, all the above.
Right.
And then still having to deal with yourself. When she's on the phone with them, she's not even talking about the child. She's checking in with the parent. And so they don't usually, and of course, I'm not talking about all parents, but a lot of these parents don't have their own resources. They don't have their own opportunity to manage, and what you were talking about with that intentional healing from looking for a significant other. They're not doing it either because they don't have the capacity, they don't have the resources, they don't have the means, they don't want to, right? Because we have to talk that too. Some people just don't want to. Some parents just don't care. It's the truth. But I want to say, if we're going to give people the benefit of the doubt, the parents want to do better, but unfortunately don't know how. And so I think that taking the initiative, like you said, Janae, with reaching out anyway, saying I'm here anyway, you know, even putting incentives in place that you should not have to do, but you have no idea the reception that may happen, you know, and how parents may respond. It's like, I'm desperate for interaction, so what do I need to do to get you in here? You know, I think will help. It's an unfortunate situation, but you know, one that I'm glad you both are tackling in the best way that you can, because we need our educators, right? Outside the home, this is where our children are most of the time before they start getting jobs.
They spend a lot of time at school.
And our resources are just not balancing out here with it. The last question I want to ask in education, which is interesting in talking about resources and you as educators being able to have what it is that you need to provide the service we require, right? Education, we are in the eve of a political transition, whatever that may be. And I'm saying transition because whether our current president remains in office or another president is elected to office, it's going to be a transition one way or another. Okay? Education usually is like one of those hot topics when there's some form of political debate. And as of late, I'm sure you have been aware that a lot of the debate around education is about what is being taught to children, right? From gender roles to sexual orientation, gender identity, to even Black history. What is your position on these types of topics being introduced in the classroom?
So to start, we got to pay attention to our local elections, because the reason why we're even having this debate is because the local elections are not getting as much attention, as much turnout as the national elections.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what they have already done, is I think they know what's going to happen once we do start teaching it. They are afraid of what happens on the other side of that education. It's different than what they are comfortable with, and they want to keep a lid on it. They don't want the kids to understand. They don't want the kids to be exposed. They don't want the kids to develop a respect. That's all that the teachers are trying to do, is get the kids to develop a respect towards anyone who they come in contact with.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the goal. And we have this debate a lot. You have these debates in your own pockets with people that will ask you that question. That's always my answer. The goal is to teach children respect. And when we're talking about gender identity, it does not have to be something super elaborate.
Yeah.
It's not this big old thing where we're like, it's given a sex ed course. Nobody is teaching a 4th grader that. 5th grader, nobody's doing that. It's just a simple conversation to develop respect.
Yes.
That's it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the kids are not being exposed to it in other ways.
That was going to be my
Okay,
point.
go ahead.
Yeah. They're going to find out the information from somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why not it be somewhere where they're safe, or they should feel safe to ask questions, to explore. Why not it be in the school where we kind of have like control over like how they spin, or just you facilitate conversation versus when they on TikTok and they get a 15-minute rant from somebody that's either on one side, very extreme on one side, or very extreme on the other. So I think there needs to be space for all these conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way the world is. Like, are we going to just ignore our world? Like, that's what gets me, especially like enslavement, like that not being on the docket. It's like, am I going to ignore 200 years of history? Like what is and then the fact that it shows up in your life right now. You were like, I remember talking to them, because that's a unit that we do teach, and I remember talking to the kids, and I'm like, the reason why your life is the way it is right now is because of what happened 400 years ago. So it's just like, for us to completely ignore our world for this, I don't even know what we're protecting.
I think it's
what's being protected.
It's more so they want to just hide the truth. Like, it's just
I guess that's what it is.
Because,
but then in order to protect what, like white supremacy?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
White masculine supremacy,
white straight, masculine,
cisgender
supremacy.
Supremacy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, at what cost?
At the cost of every other group. Like, the way that our classrooms are becoming so diverse, it's not even like my classroom. I think at this year, I have like almost every race in my classroom this year. Every race, even though it's still predominantly Black and Hispanic, there are still students that identify as other races. So when we're having these conversations, it's not just like the white man was bad and the Black people were slaves. It is not that generic
not cut
and
and
simple.
dry.
Right. We have the conversations of understanding, like, where did it start from? Where did it end? How does that affect you today? How does it affect everybody in this room today? And you would be surprised at the answers that a 9 and 10-year-old is able to give you.
8.
Yeah.
Listen,
7.
out of the mouth of babes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They see it.
And they understand it.
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about what are they afraid of, that's what that's what they're afraid of children being able to critically think for themselves. Right? And understand, like, listen, I'm here and my family is struggling like this, not because they want to be, but because that is the conditions that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's really
it's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
But I think being, proactive, and genuine, right, to who you are, for one, helps the process. Real quick, in talking about Maze the Potty, how do you feel about censorship and being on a platform like this and having to be cognizant or not, I don't know, about the things that you talk about and the things that you say, your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings. Nowadays, we're kind of living in a climate where, in my opinion, people are very hypersensitive to certain things that are being said. And then, of course, when you have platforms like this to where people are on the radio, people are on podcasts, doing YouTube videos, there is a level of, I feel like, genuineness that whatever your audience is wants from you.
Yes.
How do you feel about being on a podcast, presenting some of the topics that you've presented, some of your opinions, and how it may be perceived by other people in this quote-unquote cancel culture?
I think for us it's kind of a double-edged sword. So not only do we have like cancel culture, but we're teachers. And it's like we have to be very cognizant of what we say on social media, on a podcast. We have to be very careful with our words because God in heaven forbid anyone find anything.
Yeah.
They will make the biggest scene.
Chew it up.
They will dissect it and they will have you at a board meeting in a second. But even after that, in terms of the world, like, it's just, there are things that we say, and I'm like, ooh.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a little touchy
Edgy.
right there. Yeah. And it's like, I don't think there's ever a harm. There's never ill
Consider
intent.
the intention, yeah.
Right. There's never ill intent behind it. I just think we are living in very
sensitive
times.
People are sensitive.
Yeah.
And then I think people are having a hard time weeding out. If it does not apply to you,
Yes.
why
That part.
are you butthurt?
It's that part.
It has nothing to do with you.
It's that part for me.
And it's hurting you that bad. And I feel like I learned, like, when something doesn't apply to me, then that's just not for you.
It's not my business.
So I think, we're not good at minding our business nowadays.
No, not at all.
We are very sensitive.
Yeah.
And in terms of cancel culture, I was listening to another podcast and they said it doesn't exist, and I completely agree. Because all the people that's saying they cancel still have a platform.
That part.
And they're still talking to people. They're still talking to networks, and they're talking about how they're canceled on ABC and how they're canceled. They're having a conversation about being canceled on these huge platforms.
Yeah.
So how is that even a thing?
And I guess the intention is to hold people with platforms responsible.
Yeah.
But in that same breath, y'all be holding the wrong people responsible. Like, if we're gonna hold someone responsible,
Let's
there are
really
like,
think this through.
yeah, like let's make a list. There are so many other people that need to be held responsible
Yes.
than some of the people that you're choosing to
To do that.
to cancel. And I put that in quotation marks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
and then this is another note. Y'all get in black people business. For example, the whole thing with Jamie Foxx. You know, I'm still.
You love an example.
Listen.
I love the knee. Oh, you talking about with Jamie?
So hot.
And Jennifer, what's
and
the
the
woman name?
Jesus.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
Like that was not.
Girl, mind your business.
Yes. And black
it's-
people been saying that for ages.
Okay.
That's our business.
But she ain't never been to a cookout. So at the end of the day,
And she won't
don't
be
know-
invited.
at all. She done messed her chances up now. Are you kidding me? And I think I got so agitated. And Jamie Foxx, if you're ever listening to this podcast, do know I love you.
First of all,
To
love
death.
you, Jamie.
We love you.
Love
We love
you to death.
Literally.
One of my favorite.
My therapist just sent me a video of him doing impersonation. Because this is how we opened our session. We love Jamie.
Amazing. I mean, he's amazing
Jamie.
Across the board.
I know.
With everything. So
It's
let me
the
just
box
put that there. Right. Let me just put that out there before I say what I'm about to say. I was so mad that he apologized.
He walked it back.
What did you apologize for? I would have left her where she was because the people that need to know knew.
They knew.
Point blank, period.
They knew. She wasn't.
They knew. And as a matter of fact, she knew.
Yeah.
And the people that kept egging her on knew. You know what I'm saying? It's
Exactly.
like, no. Like, my thing is, I feel like, you know, and you know, I somewhat agree with you when it comes to, you know, cancel culture not existing. I think I just think about, you know, what you said, Michaela, with holding people on these platforms accountable for the things that they say. But at the end of the day, say what you say and stand on what you say.
Right.
Say what you, I mean, don't feel because the masses, and sometimes it seems like the masses,
but
when it's a handful of people.
It's a small group of people.
A handful of people.
But the scary part is the handful of people that we're talking about are the people in power.
Right.
And so if we think about that specific conversation, we look at who was offended, those other people who are behind like so many decisions that happen, especially in entertainment. And so it's kind of like, I hate that he walked it back, but I understand why he had to.
I get it.
I hate that he did, but I understand why he had to.
Yeah.
Because some of y'all make
mountains out of molehills.
Seriously. Let me just tell you something. I, you know, am a First Amendment advocate across the board, no matter who it is, because at the end of the day, I want to hear what you gotta say,
right?
So I know how to deal with you accordingly,
right?
So say what you gotta say, right? However, you know, do appreciate and respect when, you know, there are certain things that need to be said at certain times. That's grown up shit.
Right.
Like, you don't have to say everything in every particular room. But when you say something, just mean it. Just mean what you say and stand on that regardless. You know what I mean? I'm not walking back no apology that I don't think I need to apologize for.
Right.
You know, however, if I self-reflect and find, dang, Char, you could have said that a little different, then I will.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe my presentation, but not what I said. I meant what I said. Maybe I could have said it in a different way. You know, maybe I could have had more grace. I get it. You know, we're human. Speaking of being human, I've listened to Maze the Potty. I told y'all I'm a follower. Amazing season. And I'm so proud of you ladies.
Thank you.
And of course, it would not, you know, be me if I didn't bring mental health and emotional awareness into this conversation. As a licensed psychotherapist, you both shared that you are in therapy or have a therapist. I too have a therapist. Tell me a little bit about, you know, therapy and, you know, how it has improved your life.
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
Therapy. I went to therapy for a very specific trauma. And from that, because it's so funny, you think, and I was just listening to another podcast, it's just, I'm bringing in something else that I heard. It's like, you think you're going in for one thing, but you leave having talked about, you know, your whole entire life, and realizing like the way that you responded to the thing that brought you to therapy is because of how you responded to lifelong situations. And I love that because you're trying to, you know better, you do better. And I think that that's what therapy has been for me. Like, I know things that I didn't know last year about myself, and now I'm trying to figure out how I could walk that out on my own. You know?
Yes.
And then it's like your therapist is that person that you can come to like, I don't know if I did that quite right, or girl, you be proud of me. You know, it all depends every time when you log in. Mm-hmm. And so that's what therapy has been for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going in 2021.
It was COVID.
Yeah, it was COVID. So I think it was right before we started going back to work in 2021 in person. And I was just like cooped up in the house with my whole family. Everyone was working from home. And I was like, if I don't talk to someone, things are going to get bad. So I've been, and then I took a break from therapy. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but I did. I took a break for like a year.
Yeah. I don't know, because I've been okay.
But I took a break from like a year. But I went right back to the same one.
Yes.
And I went back after something traumatic happened to me.
Yeah.
So it's been good. So at the point that she's seen me through different seasons of my life at this point, even though it's only been like 2 years, she's seen me or maybe like closer to 3, honestly, I feel like. So she's seen me like when I first started my career. And then she saw me when I was like trying to find a new job. And then she saw me once I got the new job. And then like she's seen me through so many different seasons. It's a person that like really does try to hold me accountable.
Yes.
And when I go throughout life, I'm always going back to like, okay, what would she tell me to do in this? I mean, besides Jesus, what would she tell me to do?
JD and WWTD.
Yeah, what would they be telling me to do right now?
Yes.
So it's I think there's a lot of weeks where it's like, girl, ain't nothing happening.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing happening the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not supposed to you. And then there's weeks like, well, I got in an argument with this one and I fought this one and this. So it's been a healthy release.
Yes.
We talk about often kind of being the only ones doing the work. No one else in my family goes to therapy. So being that only person doing the work is extremely tiresome.
Yes.
Because while you're trying to really live out the things that you're learning and practicing, it's like everyone else around you is like content in whatever they have, their coping mechanisms. Their complacency. They've become real comfortable. So it's challenging, and I'll be having to like take a step back from.
No, I get it. I get it 100%. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head in regards to doing the work as a therapist. You know, always, used to tell my clients that therapy is only 10% of the process. 90% of the rest belongs to you. I'm with you 50 minutes, an hour, depending on, what your needs are, hour and a half, right? But usually an hour, maybe a week, maybe every 2 weeks, depending on the prescription of your treatment. You with yourself the rest of that time.
That's the crazy part.
So
that's really the crazy part.
If you're not going to apply any of the things that we, have worked on together, because it is a collective effort. Your therapist is there as a support. To offer an unbiased perspective, and just to give you the room to work out things that you can't in other rooms. Right? Without any type of judgment. But if you leave it all there and you don't take it out, you remain the same. So I would say, even though I don't believe, even as a therapist, everyone requires therapy, I believe that for those who have said therapy doesn't work, they need to evaluate what responsibility they had to their work. Because we're not cures. We don't cure mental illness. We don't cure. We don't resolve certain things. We actually provide you the room to resolve it on your own. You end up doing it yourself. Right? We're just here to help unpack some of those bags and repack them in a much more unchaotic way. And so, I am in a situation also where I'm the only one in therapy. I'm the only one doing the work. And so you do get that resistance. You get that when you start applying your growth in your life.
it's scary for them.
It's resistant to others who are not used to who they're used to who you were.
Yeah.
The goal is not to remain who you were.
Yeah.
The goal is to, when you know better,
you do
do better.
Yeah.
And not only to do better, but to be better. To be a better you. Because when you're a better you, we treat other people better.
Right.
It's impossible to not do the work on yourself and treat you better.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what Lotus Livin is about. It's about you. Right? It's about being well. And then not want to treat other people well. It's impossible.
Right.
Truly impossible. So
Yeah.
usually when we see, regardless of situations where a person is doing another person or people wrong, they doing themselves worse.
Yeah.
We might not see it,
Yeah.
but trust me when I say
Yeah.
they're doing themselves worse
Yeah.
than anything. You know, so of course it makes my ears, my heart, my eyes smile. When I have young people, you know, are you know, especially women of color, men of color, you know, come into a room and say, you know, I'm in therapy, and we saying that out loud, and we saying it proud. This is a part of my wellness plan.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
You know, for myself. You do what works for your wellness, and I do what works for mine. And I think that's amazing. And a great segue into the mindful moment segment.
Okay.
And this mindful moment segment is really about, you know, encompassing the totality of Lotus Livin. You know, Lotus Livin is just about overall wellness, being able to share, you know, your life, your ideals and experiences, lived experiences, in what it is that you needed to do and continue to do to remain well. So what I like to do is, as a therapist, I have a lot of self-help tools that I use, you know, either for myself or for, you know, group therapy and other things. And this is an icebreaker called Deeper Talk. This is no, you know, what you call it, sponsorship or anything. This is just a tool. You know, I'm not sponsoring it, but I like to provide, you know, tools, right, to people to use for self-help purposes. And because Maze the Potty is about, you know, your lifestyle and transition into adulthood and how to navigate this maze of a life, I thought it would be awesome to pick a self-reflection, self-awareness prompt.
Okay.
So, Johnny, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I'm going to propose a question, and then you'll answer it for me.
Okay. Wow.
In what ways are you like your parent?
Wow.
Okay.
Have fun with that one.
Mindful moment.
Whew. Okay. So I was kind of raised by my mother and my aunt, so I'm gonna stick to those two. My mother can be kind of reserved and not really say how she might be feeling until it's ready to like have a little bit of an explosion. And so I think I once was like that. I think I've been getting better with that. But that's one way that I could say that I was or am still kind of like my mother. My aunt, it's so funny because they kind of opposites. My aunt can be a little outspoken. And so I think both of those people are in me. And so I'm trying not to be
More one than
more one than the other.
Trying to find
And then
that
to be balanced, you need both of those things in you.
Absolutely.
You need to be reserved
Yes.
when necessary,
Yes.
and you need to speak out
I agree.
when necessary.
100%.
So I'm trying to
Yes.
find a way to juggle that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my answer. Wow, final
love
answer,
it.
lock it in.
Okay. Sounds
That was
good.
hard. Woo. Those questions is good. I need that for journal time.
Yes.
What's on my
Yes.
black book?
Not the
Start
black
journaling in there.
Not the black book, G.
Yes.
All right, well, Michaela, it's your turn.
Okay.
It's your turn.
what would you like to re-experience because you did not appreciate it fully the first time?
Wow, I wish I had that one. I think I've said this before. I would do college again.
Okay.
Not because of like, oh, those were the best years of my life. Honestly, they were not the best years of my life. I didn't take advantage of all of the things I should have in school. I was very much the work.
Yes.
Work my job.
Me too.
Go to class. Get the degree. Your parents say send you up here to fool around. And in that, I also kind of stayed to myself. So I would do school again just so I could have a little more fun.
Yeah.
A little more fun. Jonna and I say this all the time. We went to the same school. We was the same degree, same program, and we never met each other until the end. Because we just never, our paths never intertwined until the end. And then I just think of all the other people I probably could have met that never was able, and I never was able to meet them.
Cause I'd be like, you don't know so and so. I'd be like, you wasn't here. You didn't go there. You didn't know them. And she like, how many times? I decided this year I was gonna stop asking her that. Cause I always be like, you don't know so and so. And she's like, no, I don't know them. I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna ask no more.
And I was like, how many
But
times I tell you? I was like,
laser focus, 3 steps. Work, room, class.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. College.
I think I was like you. I went to college in North Carolina. I was fairly young when I went to college, and I had this unhealthy fear of my mother, and was like, I'm gonna just come here, and I did attempt to dibble and dabble here and again, but for the most part, you know, I really was just focused on doing my work and getting out of there, and that's what I did, you know. So I can relate to let me do it over again, you know, so I can really enjoy the HBCU experience that I had.
The HBCU.
Yes,
I was gonna go to Eaton.
Yes, I mean it is. It is the greatest HBCU on earth. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, Aggie Pride. Aggie Pride. Period. That's that. Well, I do want to, for one, thank you ladies for coming.
Thanks for having us. It was so fun.
This is, I mean, just an awesome introduction to myself, to the podcasting world. And I can't wait for you ladies to come back, and you know, things will probably be different. It'll be growth. From now. You know, once this roll out, but I appreciate you. But I have gifts, because what normally happens, or what I had envisioned, is that you would get a wellness experience when you come, and you know, because this is a spa wellness environment. However, of course, things don't align always. However, I come bearing gifts. So I know that dating is important to you both as young women trying to navigate, you know, romance and finding a mate. And it has been challenging, but I'm hoping that I can make things a little bit easier for you by giving you a kit. A wellness kit. Okay. Of all types of body butters and bad, you know, because a man love it when you smell good. I know. When you take care of yourself, right? That in itself can help. Definitely this transition, but also you just the importance of it is for you to continue to grow you, to work on you, to do your work, because it is aligned. You will find, or the mate will find you that is supposed to be with you. Right? All you have to do is continue to do your own work. It's already done. Right? We just have to wait on our time. So in addition to this kit, I am also giving you a $25 gift card to be used at the Lotus Well for any particular service you would like to utilize it for. Of course, we have massages, and I know you already have a therapist, but we have other therapeutic services such as line dance class, Zumba, yoga, anything that you need.
Yes, thank you so much.
You.
So cute.
I love it.
Awesome.
It is so nice.
Thank you.
So, the least I could do to thank you for
So cute.
your time and attention and gracing us. So as we close out this month, this episode is being taped, of course, in September. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to acknowledge that. And so, for closing, for one, if you are out there and have experienced any suicidal thoughts or have been concerned about your mental health in any way, there are mental health professionals that can assist you. All you have to do is dial 988 and you will get somebody 24/7, 365, 366 in a leap year. Anytime that you call, there's always someone available.
Yeah.
But if you both can grace us with some form of encouragement, to anybody that might be listening to this podcast today, that may be discouraged in some type of way. I know that, you both have a spiritual following, and connection in your belief, and just being able to give someone encouraging words for today.
I'll start. This is a lot. I'm sorry, this is a lot. Just, there's hope. That's all I can say.
Just know that you are loved. People care about you. People you don't even think about care about you so much. So just try to talk to anybody. Anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is Lotus Livin.
Yes.
And we're signing off.